Museum Jedi Show is brought to you by Time Looper. Time Looper works alongside museums and cultural institutions, especially those sharing underrepresented stories, to create immersive experiences that spark connection and conversation. We're honored to support Museum Jedi's work, advancing justice, equity, and diversity, and inclusion across the museum field, and helping shape a more inclusive future for our shared history.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm going to ask our guest to turn on her camera and turn on her microphone, and we're going to get started here. Welcome, Dr. Ashley Jordan to the Museum Jedi Show. This is 3.0. This is the episode 1, and we're live streaming for the very first time on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. This is the show where our conversations begin at the intersection of museums and justice. Dr. Jordan, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I feel like, as I shared before, this is a conversation having with a colleague, but also someone who feels like family. And I feel like within our Black museum spaces, we do feel like family. And when we get together, it feels like homecoming. It feels like Hillman. And so I'm just excited to be here in this conversation. I feel like this is just the start of something great, even for you, Omar. We know that there are platforms for all types of genres, but one genre we have not seen go to mainstream is museums. And so thank you for doing this. We appreciate the work that you are doing to champion the work that we are doing by making sure we are in places like podcasts and virtual streaming opportunities. So thank you again.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're able to join us. So before I say another word, please shout out to our sponsor, Time Looper, who does excellent work, as you heard on the promo. We're excited to have their support in this endeavor. So what I want to do, Ashley, because you and I have known each other for a long time, but and your story is so special. I'd like for you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and where were you born and raised, and how did your upbringing influence your choice of profession?
Oh, great question. I was born and raised, I'm a Buckeye, now a transplant here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. So I'm in the Commonwealth now. And I'm from Mansfield, Ohio, which is well seated in the middle section of Ohio. We call ourselves the heart of it all. But I'm the oldest of four. My parents, William and Sheila Jordan, definitely acted as the foundation for who you see today. I come from a great family, the Jordan family there in Mansfield, Ohio. Grew up with my cousins, my first cousins. I think that's a lot of some of the things that I believe in as a leader. My altruism ideas about community in the workplace extends from the fact that I grew up in a front porch community where my neighbors helped to raise me. One of the best things about my childhood that I can remember is just having the fact that we had a candy store up the street from us. And my sister and I would go up to the candy store. Candy was like a penny, 10 cents. It was just the simple things of life. But I would definitely say that those elements definitely added to make me who I am today. I feel like I am a small town Midwest girl at heart, but I got an East Coast mindset. So it's just the way I see the world. You can always do a little bit more bigger. So
That's a powerful combination.
yeah, for
That's a power
sure.
and it's done you well. It's
Oh,
done you
thank you.
well. Ashley and I met many years ago um, at the National Park Service, and so Ashley, when you see this symbol, this arrowhead, what does it bring to your mind? What memories come back to you as a park ranger?
What sticks out for me is the green and the gray. Those colors is what we live by. It's who we are within representation. It's our most recognizable attribute is the fact that park rangers are seen through their colors as well as our hats. But I definitely had a chance to see that the field of public history was alive and well through museums, battlefields, historic homes. And my time at the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House was definitely transformative to who I am as a leader today. Just even in my abilities now, I think we all take it for granted. Before you got to leadership, you had to be a follower first.
Mm.
And so my role within those times of just being a student-led park ranger, being led by some great site superintendents who are our colleagues, some who've gone on to glory, like Miss Margaret Miles. I can just say good things about Margaret, who was a long-standing park ranger, but before that, she served with the National Council of Negro Women. So it's just that great legacy of history and intersections where, you read about these things, but then to know the people who've done the work, it really helps to amplify the stories that we tell at these locations.
So when you see what's happening now with all the things that are going on with our agency and our federal government, how does that prick you as a museum leader today?
I would say, as a museum leader today, we know there are some challenges that we are experiencing currently. But then I also think for us who have been practitioners in this field, particularly for those of a viewpoint of color, African Americans, I'm reminded again, I shared this just recently at the American Alliance of Museums about the double consciousness that we continue to have in this country because there's one part of me where I look as an onlooker, where I can't believe this is happening. Because again, we've come so far as a country. We are the same country that voted in the man who coined the phrase hope. And then later we had, as a presidential nominee, we had Hillary Clinton, who would have been the second to Shirley Chisholm. But, that election night did not happen. And America auto-corrected itself. And so here we are again, post the administration of President Biden, where we're having these changes that we would not see happening. But then again, if you are a person of color, and I say this not to make a light of the situation, but the fact that it's just Monday in our realities. Like this has been our long journeyed history in this country where we've gone from, the Voting Rights Act, and then we had Reconstruction, and then we had the Nadir. Then we go through that long struggle, and we had to have the Civil Rights Movement. And now here we are again, where we have folks who are in places where they have the voting majority now having their voter rights being suppressed because of their color. So I think, if anything, it allows the urgency for our work to be more rammed up, but more so, we've always been here. We just know now we can't go away. And we're not going to be silent about our work either. Like, I think, if anything, our core exhibition downstairs is called Audacious Freedom. And I really had to spend some time with that meaning, the words, how these people took bold and courageous acts towards freedom. I can't walk in this space and not want to take those same acts. So that's where I am. I have to be audacious as I move, as I think, as I dream, and as I tell the stories of Black history today and why they matter.
Well, I hope you guys are listening. It's a powerful woman speaking to you um, based on experience, not just lived experience, but her leadership
Yeah.
experience. And we're getting through her career trajectory. We talked about our shared connection through National Park Service. We're both rangers. We both wear the flat hat. We both see what our colleagues or former colleagues are going through now. And it really does motivate us in a certain way for all the same reasons that Dr. Jordan already explained. But we also have another thing in common, and I'm going to put a picture that I want you to react.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your response, not to set you up, but I know this is the world of both of us in the Smithsonian. Talk to us about the influence of Faith Davis Ruff.
Now you up here acting like Oprah. Don't you do that. But yeah, Faith was such a game changer in the sense that not only was she this phenomenal curator, she took on this role of cultivating the next generation. And for me, what I saw was her work as the intern site supervisor. I came into that space not knowing what I could do with a history degree, but I left with a plan of action because my path had crossed with Faith. And I'm grateful because, and again, in another iteration of our experiences, you came to the Smithsonian. So, like, it was just, again, the work that she was doing to bring in more students of color into this academy that is the Smithsonian was so important. because she knew that the work that she was doing was for future generations. And of course, we never would think a time where we wouldn't have a Faith Davis Ruffins. But I feel like she's imparted so much in us where we can carry on and we can do the work. Of course, we miss her, but I know she's given me the jewels to go on. I really do.
That's beautiful. I remember when we found out we had her as a connective tissue as well, and me working at the National Museum of American History during a period where she was the only one. Right? This is in between sort of this era where prior to me coming there, about maybe 5 to 10 years before me getting there, there was Lonnie Bunch and Spencer Crew and all these folks that were there before the development of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And when I came on, Faith was the only curator, African descendant curator. We did have Deborah Richardson, who was our chief archivist. But outside of that, those were only two people.
Yeah.
And so when I worked there, I was part of the active Smithsonian African American Association, sort of an affinity group. And I put together a program about what is it like to be the only dot, 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 dot. And so she was gracious with her time, along with some other curators across the institution. They were all from the Middle East in their SI units. And it was a great conversation. And we took that road, that act on the road, and we did it at AAAM in 2017 when it was in DC. And she just gave all of her wisdom, and it was beautiful. And we all missed her greatly. She was an incredible human being.
Indeed.
I know that you also, you work at a lot of great institutions. This is another one, which I actually have never been to. I've actually been outside of it, and I can't, for the life of me, I never actually went inside except for the event that I would have outside. And I'm sure I had an opportunity to go inside. Now it's too busy running my mouth, and we had to go. So please talk to us about the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center.
Yes, the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, to me, symbolized a point in my career where I felt that I was moving to the next level, the next phase of institutional growth. This institution is a premier destination. It's 158,000 square feet, has an east and a west wing, but it's centered on the stories of freedom. The Underground Railroad, with the connection to human trafficking today and some of its effects that are still plaguing our communities because it is happening right amongst us in just real time, but ways in which we can prevent that. And so for me, going to the Freedom Center, coming from Wilberforce, which is a small rural college community, to Cincinnati, which is a city in Ohio amongst the big threes, was wonderful. But most importantly, it was the physical reminder. So when you go to Cincinnati, the Freedom Center, from the balcony view, you can see that last great barrier between slavery and freedom, which is the Ohio River. It is the shortest distance from slavery to freedom. You can literally walk across the river, right? And the way in which you could walk across the river, which we talked about, was how during the winter months, the river would freeze over and it would act as a natural bridge. And then the summer months, like August and those time periods, it would look like that of a stream and you could just walk through. And so the Freedom Center, taking from those principles of how you knew it was a safe house, has an eternal flame which is lit on the balcony so that people know that this institution will always be a safe haven for future generations and our mission today. But where I felt more so aligned to the mission, how the mission can reach people in ways in which it doesn't have a color, it doesn't have an economic value, because what matters is freedom. And freedom has no boundary. And we would see visitors from outside the country. We had installations that talked about the Berlin Wall and the East and West divide that once was there in Germany. We had visitor statistics well over 100,000. So just to do work at that volume, I was like, oh my goodness. It's that small scale experience. Now I'm at a large scale museum, but it just helped me to see the world bigger. And no matter where you are, how if you have a story, particularly one, the storytelling piece is so important. How it can resonate with people and it can be a game changer for your revenue, for your attendance, and
Mm.
for the partnerships that you have when you have a case of support. And we all know freedom is a case of support that always needs to be supported. And I was grateful for my time there.
That's an incredible story, and I mean, you put us right there. You framed the building. You talked about the history of it being the shortest distance, which I'm sure is new information for some of us. One of the things I'm interested in, I've always been interested about that institution, as we continue to strive to interpret and teach the legacies of the institution of slavery. Sometimes people get bogged down. Why are we talking about slavery again? What I want to know from you is, what was the intentionality around framing this as freedom? Like, they didn't call it the National Ground Slavery Center. They called it the Freedom Center. I'm sure there was some intentionality with that. Could you shed some light on that?
Oh, yes, there was some definite intentionality around that because it was all centered on public memory. And the
Mm,
fact that there's been times again in history where we try to act like this didn't happen.
mm,
But it's our ongoing commitment that when history, or even in senses of immediate changes within our presidential structures, where we have to literally go to court to say that this is history, it's already been deemed history. Why are you taking it down? That is the reason why the Freedom Center exists, because of the importance of the power in place and the power of public memory and how we interpret these stories, and the names that we want to resonate with people is the theme of freedom.
so where do you see this institution in the future? Because one of the things that I was always trying to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it is part of the Cincinnati Museum Center. And how is that relationship, and how did that work? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I would say during the period of the Freedom Center's continued growth, the Cincinnati Museum Center acts as its other entity, in the sense that we have shared services that come
Mm,
through the Cincinnati Museum Center, as well as they, help us in ways in which event rentals. I would see support from the accounting office for ticket sales and things of that nature, because the realities are, for many of our organizations and how we are structuring our financial forecast, is that we do need strong, either strong ally, strong corporation support, strong
mhm,
foundational support. It's about the money. And
mhm.
we're not going to make it being out here by ourselves. And we know that we can make it based, of course, on our members, on our earned revenue, but the realities are we are better together. And I think the Freedom Center and the Cincinnati Museum Center, which is led by Elizabeth Pierce, and Woody Keon is leading at the Freedom Center, they are doing the good work of showing the powers of two leaders working together to do this great work out here for their institutions.
So that relationship, in essence, helped increase the capacity for your infrastructure.
Yes.
That's excellent. I mean, we need more of that type of partnership to help move forward our missions, as you know.
Yes.
So then we have this wonderful place. This is when you became a number one. This is when you became a director extraordinaire. Talk to us about Evansville African American Museum.
Well, and I had to laugh because Evansville African American Museum made me who I am today, in the sense
Mm,
of I know we can say this story, but it was my Damascus Road experience. Like, I
mm,
came out of that experience knowing that if this is what I'm going to do, I now have a clearer plan that this is what I'm going to do, because it was like no one prepares you when you're in your museum studies courses to talk about mold removal. And that was my first, like, ah. So those pillars that you saw, that was my first, like, 3 days on the job,
wow.
contacting specialists for mold removal. We didn't cover that in our classes. And I'm ready for work, so I wasn't dressed to handle no mold removal. So it was just like, what? What are we talking about? But one of the things that I found to be so helpful, particularly for leaders, and I know we don't do it enough, but the best advice that I ever got was from my board member, Pat Lowry, who's no longer here, but she was phenomenal. and we were doing some things, and she was like, Ashley, why didn't you just ask for help? And I was like,
Yeah. How about that?
I said, huh? She's like, why don't you just ask us for help? And I was like, I don't know. Just like, but once I started asking for help, once I started delegating, once I started talking about the needs of this institution and how they could help, I felt like we really went much further together. But I feel like there has to be this space within our workplace cultures where you can ask for help. Because you're not going to
Absolutely.
come in the door with everything, but you need to be able to get there with the proper resources, with the proper connections between your board members, because they have resources that you don't have. So it's just good to lean in on that shared knowledge that makes the board, the board, and then as well as the staff, and how it can be harmonious when we're talking, when we're having the right conversations to close in on the gaps. So I would definitely say that was a wonderful experience. Janice Hale was my first employee. I have to give her a shout out because she was 70 years old at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, my first employee was 70 years old, but she had the energy of a 30-year-old, so you wouldn't have known any difference. But how we had to find our balance. Like, I did all the tech things, but she did all the development touches. Like, she knew when everybody's birthday was. If it was a funeral, she would go and be a museum presence. Like, you just have to find the lanes that work for your team. And it's been great. Corey Miller, who's there now leading this institution, I am happy because I feel like, you're supposed to lead these institutions better than when you found them.
Right.
And I know we definitely did the work to ensure that this legacy could go on through the board members there, Mrs. Lana Burton, who comes to every AAAM conference. She is always there. And I think that's also very important for your institutions. Invite your board members to come to
Yes.
these affinity group associations, because
Yes.
it helps to contextualize what we're talking about when you have these agenda line items, and they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? This is what we mean. This is what we're talking about. So if you invite them, you'll have greater advocacy at the board level. So yeah.
What a great Moses and Jethro moment, right? I feel like
Hallelujah.
all of us at some level have that. Even when we rhetorically know better,
Yeah.
you get put in that situation and things are really starting to get hectic, and someone reminds you, hey man, like just look for some help. Look
Yes.
for some help. Build some coalitions. Lean on your community. I think we all are better for it. But you mentioned hiring someone of a seasoned age. I want to flip this question a little bit because, and I think we may have talked about this a while ago, but obviously your physical presentation reads very well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? The leader who's obviously had all these great experiences already. Like, what's up?
Couple of things, right? I say it's two-folded. Sometimes it's the first, when people ask me, initially when I first came to Philly, everybody kept saying, you're too young. Oh, like you would see their immediate reaction. And I would just tell them I'm a child prodigy. And then they would just do that. It would break everything up. They start laughing, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. And they would get to talking. Like, no, really, how old are you? They would have to know like how old you are. But one of the things that I often remind them, or at least try to share with them, that some of this country's best movements have been led by young people. And I feel like we're never too young or too old to make a difference. And so I'm just answering the call that was placed before me, and that was leadership. Because how I even got into being an ED came about when I was there at the Freedom Center. This was before Woody came on board, but we had a dynamic leader, Dr. C.G. Newsom. And due to health reasons, he had to leave the Freedom Center. And in that absence of leadership, and this is one of your quotes, Omar, and I saw it happen in real time, where when you having the wrong culture could kill the strategy, having the wrong culture could kill the mission. Like everything just got ate up in the absence of not having a good leader. And so because of that experience, that was my call to leadership. And it was, again, just through the work of, again, the partnerships. It was our good friend Lanisha DeBartoleden, who was like, Ashley, I know you finished school, you got your PhD, what's your next chapter looking like? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, Evansville's looking for a new ED. And I was like, I needed the ED leadership experience. They needed a museum leader. And it was the perfect pairing.
Mm,
So,
that's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. And the saying that Dr. Jordan is referring to is culture eats strategy for breakfast, and that's the perfect response and application to it. So we talked about faith. We talked about some others. You mentioned Margaret Miles and other people like that. Who else has been influential to you within our field in your current role?
Yeah, too many to name.
Give us two or three.
So many. But again, I just kind of look back to history, right? Because that's our premise.
Yeah.
But I remember I was reading a piece within a U.S. formative history book where it was talking about when Ida B. Wells had passed away, and Carter G. Woodson and W. Du Bois were talking about how she was the woman who awakened America's consciousness. And I was like, oh my goodness, how such a beautiful, reflection about a colleague. But I was also thinking too, like, how amazing it was that all these African Americans were living together at one time.
Mm,
And we've seen it through the Harlem Renaissance, this age of enlightenment. But I have that right now, through the association, through the American Alliance of Museums. I'm living in my moment of being surrounded by great, talented people who are doing this great work, and they inspire me to keep doing my work because it's needed. You need community to do this work.
it is. I mean, and you're right. It's almost an unfair question. It's so many we can name, and you talked about the Association of African American Museums, where we serve together on the board. Which other boards have you served on and are currently serving on now?
Yes, I'm currently serving on the Association for State and Local History, as well as the American Jazz Museum. They're located in Kansas City. So I'm serving on those boards. And I was a former Institute for Museum and Library Service Board member, a presidential appointee by President Biden.
Wonderful. Why is board service important?
I believe board service is important, not just in the sense of the directorship of the institutions, but because we act as another extension of the mission. We know that we have a responsibility. Obviously, we say all the time, your treasure, and your talent, and all those things. But I really feel that ambassador piece is so important for the work that we're doing, but as well as your knowledge. I think each board member, based off those skills assessments, come to the table helping to enhance the mission a little further, whether it be through guest services. Some folks are really good at those data metrics. They can come in and help us really get, to the real growth of our gift services department through gift shop sales and so on. Of course, you need the folks with the legal backgrounds. They're always helpful. Our banking institutions and so on and so on. But I just feel like, again, having a diverse group of a board of directors only helps to edify the institution for continued sustainability as well as creation, innovation. And then the hope is that through their networks, more folks will get to know more about the institution, a level of awareness building and partnership building.
That's wonderful. And so, for you museum leaders who are listening to this live or in the recording, and you haven't been on a board or haven't been on a board lately, they probably need you. They need your time, your talent, your treasure, and all the things that you bring. So please consider that. We need all the support that we get, and our work at Triple M has been very edifying to me as an individual and as a leader, and being able to lock arms with folks like Dr. Jordan on this really elevate me in ways that I didn't expect. So, in your estimation, why are Black museums important?
Black museums are important because we again act as the gatekeepers for those stories. We act in a very symbolic place about the power of place. We give the who, what, when, where, and why, but also we talk about, again, these intersections of history. We don't have to look far for inspiration. It can be found right in your own backyard. And I do believe by visiting your local museum, you will see more about these intersections, but then the fact that we are highlighting ordinary people who have made extraordinary contributions to American history. And that's the part where I want to encourage everybody You can champion your own story for freedom by just visiting your local institutions. So that's what I want to encourage. Our museums matter because one, all the stories still have not been told. And
Mm.
we need you to be there to take part and to bear witness. Because again, when they say, I know I just watched the episode just recently, Elsbeth is a real popular show, a woman detective. And they even added an episode about how the arts are under attack
Oh, wow.
and the fact
That's
that these
good.
immediate funding decrease, just all these things. But how you can be a part of history today. That's the big call to action.
Mm.
How will history remember you in this moment, in this time, in this place? And we know the best way we can show up right now is through voter registration. So I feel like our museums, our call to action is advocacy. We know we have to be nonpartisan, but we must stress the importance of why the vote matters.
Excellent, excellent. I love it. It reminds me of the project I was able to participate in called Museums as a Site for Social Action, which was underwritten back in 2016 to 2018. It was underwritten by Minneapolis Institute of Arts, and a plethora of museum professionals of all varieties came together in three different institutions over those 3 years to create a toolkit to have professionals and leaders reconsider or to consider the museums as sites for social action. So voter registration was definitely one of the many things people were ideating around. So I love that you brought that up. But I want to drill down to the great work of AMP.
Hmm?
And I had the beautiful pleasure of being there last month. And I saw this person, right? This person and this exhibition, just incredible. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I took my selfie, another picture, where we were just enthralled with the tour guide and all the things that Ruth Carter had done. What inspirationally curated the show? Because one thing it did was it blew away the idea that she just did like Black Panther or Coming to America. I had no idea she did most of those other movies.
Yeah. I would say again, the inspiration came from seeing other institutions that are doing this work. And so, how I became aware that the show was even traveling was through the Charles Wright Museum located in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, okay.
And so I saw it and I said, oh, there's a show. And I got connected to their team because one of the things that you and I both know, we know that we work to tell history. Not that we have to be CNN or breaking news, but we do have to compete. And we do have to have exhibitions that bring the people to us. And one of the things that I wanted to do was get an exhibition while our institution was awaiting to move to our new location to get people to come to AMP. And when I had a chance to see the costumes, the storytelling, and even Miss Carter's intentionality to showcase her stories in museums, I was like, oh yes, she's got to come to Philly. Oh yes, we're gonna figure this out. I talked to the board, and again, having that communication with my board members, having those conversations with the staff, it definitely required a year worth of planning in order for this moment to happen. And I'm so glad that it did because by the time we got the costumes, we were the first show to showcase the Academy Award winning movie Sinners. So we're the only show that got a chance to host it here on the East Coast. And again, you're looking for those exhibitions that, tell great stories, bring the people, but on ways of visibility and outreach in this social media driven world we live in. The TikToks have been great. The tags have been great. Everything is coming back the way it's supposed to for a show of this size and this magnitude. And we appreciate Miss Carter and her team. They've been wonderful to work with. When she went on The View, and this is around the time of the historic Oscar nominations,
Hmm.
she got on The View and was like, oh, and if you want to see these costumes, they're at the African American Museum in Philadelphia. That Saturday, we saw 1,000 people at our institution. So
Wow.
for an
That's amazing.
organization like us, you know what I mean? It helps us to we can do this. We can dream. We can go a little bit further. And every holiday has done well. MLK Day saw record breaking numbers. Black History Month saw record breaking numbers. And then with us planning for Juneteenth this Friday, we're expecting another great day. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, so in this interaction, you caught on that it was at the Charles H. Wright. You made the proper connections. You were able to do it differently because of the timing of Sinners. What did you learn about Ruth Carter and her work and her impact on pop culture that you maybe you didn't know before?
I feel like the level of storytelling that she does through material culture. And I know we talk about it in the museum space, but it really took a different shape and a new meaning for me because in those movies, it was the feeling of pride that I got from those characters
Yes.
as they told their stories. Like when we all went to go see Black Panther, it was a celebration.
Yes, it was.
And then pairing that with the music, I was like, yes. Everybody was happy. But then, like with Sinners, this is the dichotomy of the twins and their characters and what they were striving for, to see their fabrics tell their story. It just adds another layer to the possibilities of what museums can do. We've always been able to use our images, but the costume piece definitely speaks to another level of storytelling that I feel that other sites would be willing to use more because we see it. We see Colonial Williamsburg. That's all storytelling through costumes.
That's right.
You got the Ford History Museum. It's period related.
Mm.
But for our cultural Black institutions, it gives us a chance to show another layer of our offerings through the costumes where you don't have to be so step back into a time period. No, this is a look back, which has been wonderful from her Malcolm X to Do the Right Thing. It's a journey for multi-generational experiences because it takes you back to that time where you first saw that film, whether you were at the home or you were in the theater. It just puts you back in a first person point of view. And we all know that's one of the best takeaways from a museum experience. If you say, I felt like I was there, thank you. Please leave that on your comment card.
I love that. I love that. I mean, the Dora Milaje Black Panther, the Killmonger outfit. But I have to say, my favorite outfit is probably Mookie from Do the Right Thing.
I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, it's just my man. I remember watching the movie in the movie theater when I was in high school and how groundbreaking it was. It was probably my favorite Spike Lee movie with a close climax. But like, just excellent. So great to see all that, see all the content, and to see this someone who just nowhere. She's been before.
Yeah.
So I love that you were able to lay out that trajectory from the Spike Lee movies of the 80s and the 90s all the way up into Sinners. I mean, that's amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah, we were happy to do that. Like it's been a great story, and we're looking forward to just doing more. Like to be continued for AM.
I love it. So generally speaking, when people come to the African American Museum in Philadelphia, as we affectionately call it, AM,
Mhm.
what are the big ideas around blackness that you would want them to leave with?
Great question. I feel like my biggest aim for right now, as it relates to our people and the stories and the messages that we want to communicate, is self love. We are encouraging Black nationalism. Right now, I've been on this phase of myself where I've been channeling, James Brown. And it might have come from my time in Cincinnati because he was discovered in Cincinnati through King
Okay.
Records, but just the showmanship, how, he had these shows that were very, it showed the best of us doing what we do and we love. But my hope is that through the stories that we highlight, to be bold, to be Black, to be unapologetic. Again, we got a partnership right now with the firm called 1968, which looks at the role of African American women, particularly Shirley Chisholm when she declared, her office run. We want more folks to be unbought and unbossed. There's so much propaganda out here right now. We're up against fake news, all these, just different sources that are not telling the right truths. And we want to make sure that people know to come to us so that they can leave with informed decision making abilities. Because again, we are thinking, in addition to us and our stance on being unapologetically you, we're also doing our work in another sense of reimagining a new democracy.
Mm.
So we know that this hour calls for us to think differently, but we want to make sure that it also includes inclusive freedom, and that means that includes you.
Wow. I mean, I have a couple of things brewing in my mind right now, but I'm going to try to be concise. So, I had the distinct pleasure of meeting your staff,
Okay.
right? And all the things that you're manifesting, including with Carter, including Juneteenth celebration, including,
Mm-hmm.
how are you leading these? I mean, a lot of them are younger.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some
Right.
of them are. And so, how does that impact you as a leader in connecting those things and making sure that your external audience is leading with all those things, but then you have your internal staff that you're collaborating with to make sure that happens? Like, how do you make that synergy work?
I say it's a couple of things. One, I think as leaders, we should never know or never forget what it feels like to sit on the opposite side of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been sitting for I've been more on the other side than I've been on this side, you know? And I think that's the part that acts as the anchor, right? And then also to understanding that within our roles as leaders, we have to do more work twofold. It's a level of social work. Because
Yeah,
sometimes you're trying to make the coalition or correlation between who's here at work, who's at home. You know what I mean? Because you can't cut it off.
that's right.
So sometimes we got to do a little, hey, talk to me. Let's unpack this, you know? In that regard, I brought in more support because for some of our nonprofit organizations, we've gone without HR support. So I've been dealing with workplace trauma from unresolved issues where people didn't have a place to talk.
Yeah.
And so Richard Josie and the Collective Journeys has been very helpful in bringing inclusion and belonging, acceptance and accountability, all the things that you want to have for a high performing team. But I just feel that my role is to, cultivate the gold, because I know someone cultivated the gold in me. And then most importantly, we know there is the handbook as well. So I believe in giving you encouragement and correction at the same time. But it's just definitely helpful. I just feel like we have to be mindful of being on the other side of the seat and making sure that we are leading in with grace, because we all deserve it. And making sure that people find the right resources, places to talk. Again, I had someone ask me, do you need some help? And that can help somebody. What's going
That's
on?
right. That's right. Yeah.
You need some help? Are you hungry? Like sometimes some people just be, let's go get something to eat. Let's go eat.
We just need the family. We need the family. We
We
need the
need to
connections.
eat. Yeah, and we
I
do.
love it.
We need birthday celebrations. You know, sometimes
Oh,
anniversaries get missed. You need that in your workplace, a chance to celebrate people, because we could just keep going,
that's true. So true.
and it all gets missed. And so I know people want to feel seen and heard, and I just make sure to do that because, again, I was sitting on the other side of the table just like them at one point.
That's the classic definition of an empathetic leader. And shout out to Richard Jones and the Collective Journeys.
Yes,
What kind of ancestor will you be? That is the
yes,
essential question that he lifts up in his work. And he's been a wonderful boon to all of us, great ally, great friend. You mentioned earlier, Ashley, this little thing that you're doing called a new location. Can you talk
yeah.
to people about this new location?
Yes, in 2030, the African American Museum in Philadelphia will be moving to the Ben Franklin Parkway. We will be located amongst the other cultural institutions in the city, like the Barnes Foundation, the Free Library, the Franklin Institute, just to give us greater visibility for the stories that we're telling, but to be amongst our peers who are doing the same work as us. And we're excited because it's going to be a project close to 88,000 square feet. We will have classroom space, a cafeteria, a rooftop area to offer for our private rentals. And so we are just excited because, again, I think the Ruth Carter exhibition acted as the catalyst for the change. But why we need to move is so that we can continue to do this great work just at a larger scale facility, because right now our core exhibition only covers the first 100 years of Blacks in Philadelphia. And we want to tell a more complete story of African Americans here in the city to modern day. So we're excited for that opportunity. So stay connected. Visit our website by visiting aampmuseum.org. Purchase your membership so that you can receive the most up-to-date information as it relates to our move.
I love it. I love it. Give us an idea. How much bigger are we talking?
Oh, so our current facility, and this is the piece with the ramps that makes it difficult. We know that with the ramps, they take up a sizable portion. Like
Oh,
on
yeah.
paper, we're like close to 35,000 square feet, but the ramps make it under 20. So it's a lot of missing pieces
Yeah.
that we need to have, because these new museums have this free open floor plans. And definitely want to shout out the San Antonio African American Museum. I had a chance to tour it.
Yeah.
I said, oh,
Yeah. No.
this
Incredible
is
space. Incredible
going to
space.
be amazing. So,
It
like,
is.
again,
It really
our
is.
ramps are not the museum of the future, and we need to move to a space that mirrors 21st century industry standards. And again, stay connected to the San Antonio African American Museum, because, again, in places where you don't think our stories are there. Now, granted, I never thought that, but there are people who think, oh, there's black people in San Antonio. Yes. And they date back to the Alamo. So
That's right.
I think it's important to visit and support, because that's going to be a wonderful, and even the things, the thoughtfulness in each gallery. I was like, oh, I can't wait to move.
Yeah. No, shout out to Deb and Jeff
Yes.
and that whole staff, and I'm getting also to know as well. And shout out to Time Looper. Time Looper's been working on that project for a
Oh,
while.
yes. Congrats, Time
Um,
Looper. Yes.
so rooftops at the new location.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of a flex, Dr. Jordan. That's pretty good. I like that. I'm feeling that. Like I can see myself on the rooftop looking over at something very scenic. I mean, this is amazing.
Yes, we want to be that space that utilizes all possibilities for earned revenue, and we know that here in Philadelphia, people love the landscape that is the nightlife. The cityscape is a very attractive feature for events, and we just want to be able to offer that as well.
A couple of years ago, you had some work from LaVon Bell.
Yes, we did.
So she's a buddy, she's a friend. And what made me think of that was I'm always trying to lift up the work, whether it's happening, whether it's going to happen in the future, with African American museums and then connecting to the diaspora. LaVon Bell being from St. Croix, and she's
Hmm.
done work in Puerto Rico. She's done this. She's an international artist, right? So how does that maybe change your space or your strategic plan in terms of the global connections of Africans from the continent and the diaspora?
Oh, great question. I feel like the piece that has been very helpful for our reach as an institution was through our works with folks like Levon Bell and our partnership with PAPA, which is the Pennsylvania Fine Arts Academy, and how we did a joint exhibition called Rising Sun, and the fact that it was talking about the sun never sets, but we were talking about the fact that the sun never sets on the contributions of Black people and our
Hmm,
touches throughout the world,
hmm,
and how we had representation from all parts, all countries, and each artist spoke to their country, their contributions to freedom. And so folks like artists like Levon Bell have been very helpful to speak on our impact, not to just be a museum centered in African Americans in Philadelphia, but the diaspora and its reach. Because the Middle Passage was not a disruption of culture. And that is the part that we want to continue to tell, and that is still alive and well today, and it lives through our exhibitions, but how we want to tell more, of course, in a bigger space.
that's great. That's outstanding. Because for me, when I go into those spaces, I love that they have the ability to destroy the rigidity of identity, right?
Yeah.
Helping us make helping us think more about blackness in a more nuanced way, not as a monolith, to think about all kinds of identity that way is really helpful as we continue to do this work to help the world see the humanity in each other. Um, I have one more question for you,
Okay.
and this is the question. This
All
is the
right.
question of all questions. This is
Okay.
the question we ask everyone on the Museum Live show. What does justice mean to you?
Ooh. Well, that is a great closer. What justice means to me is that truth always marches on.
Mm.
And I think we've seen it time and time again, in the midst of our worst challenges. How we've always had hope, we've always had education, particularly for African Americans, how it's been a tool for access and resources. But I think the piece I think about is Frederick Douglass, and how he talked about how he had prayed on his knees for 20 years until he prayed with his feet.
Mm-mm-mm.
Now is the time for justice to do just like that. We have to activate it at a different level.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a take home. I hope everybody is taking notes. I want to thank you again for your time. This is Dr. Ashley Jordan, the president and CEO of the African American Museum in Philadelphia. Ashley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We go way back, and
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for our relationship. And I hope and pray for continued success for the museum in your career.
Thank you. Same to you too, Arthur. Oh, my goodness, Omar. It's been a long conversation. A lot
It's
of
all right.
names.
It's all right.
You know my heart. That's what
Of course I
matters.
do. Of course I
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
And we've been together for a good minute. And people, please go visit AMP. Give them the website again, please.
It is aampmuseum.org. So please
Wonderful.
check us out.
Please check them out. And for those who want to support the Museum Jedi show,
Yes.
we have the museumjedi.com. You can go on to Cash App and offer contributions at $sign Museum Jedi. We are so happy to be here and thankful for our sponsorship with Time Looper. And we'll be out there soon promoting the next episode. But this is episode number 1, season 3.0, with Dr. Ashley Jordan, President and CEO of the African American Museum of Philadelphia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.